let's move over to the Lakers now. This would be LeBron James's 4th championship if he pulls it off. Anthony Davis's 1st. And Andrew, LeBron now, assuming the Lakers don't blow this big lead, which, we've seen what happens in 3-run leads in the NBA Finals in the past. But assuming that doesn't happen, LeBron now will have won with 3 different teams. Only a handful of guys have done that in the NBA. And he's probably the only guy to do it on 3 different teams and be the best player on those teams. So, Andrew, just incredibly impressive performance by LeBron and the Lakers in the bubble. They're 1 game away from a championship. It's hard to measure just how incredible it is, the Lakers' performance throughout the bubble, especially the last couple of rounds. Andrew, it's just been so impressive. And LeBron James, in year 17, on the brink of his 4th championship.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's had a great career and a lot of ups and downs. He had obviously starting off with the Cavs, no one really on his team. Then he goes to the Heat, kind of like his college years, people say, grows up, comes back to the Heat, wins a championship. And then just to throw another wrinkle into his legacy, winning a championship in a bubble situation that you can't really, going into that, anything could happen because these guys, they've played in front of huge crowds with definitely feeding off that emotion. And then now there's really none of that. And you got to create your own. And LeBron, AD, they've been able to do that. And it's something that, look, it just shows how great he is and probably the best player of our generation here to start. And then you start with that argument, him or Jordan. Now he's got his 4th ring, 3 separate teams, 3 separate storylines, bringing 3 franchises really to greatness here. And again, it's something that it starts to become an argument. Maybe he's going to have to win a few more to really kind of solidify himself. I think he does. And this road, especially, it was a pretty easy one to get to the finals and seems like winning it. So again, it's definitely questionable to see where LeBron fits. But again, this run, especially adding now in the bubble as well, it's very, very impressive in my mind.
Incredibly impressive. And our producer, Alex Wools, tweeted this out when they won the conference finals, that LeBron James has been to the finals 10 years out of 17 in the league. So you have a better chance. Now, I'm bad at math, but you have a better chance of going to the finals than not as you look at his career. Just incredible. He's been to 10 finals. He likely will win 4 of them. And you bring up the bubble. It's a great point because this is the first time we've ever seen a really destination neutral site NBA finals. Hopefully it's the last with COVID-19 and whether or not we have a vaccine next year, that is to be determined. But to win it in a bubble when you're closed off from the rest of the world for 2.5 months, of games, all told, it's going to be more than 3 months. Andrew, I think that adds another layer to his legacy. I think you're absolutely right. And, we were going into the bubble thinking, okay, well, which teams are going to enjoy this environment more than others? And LeBron James, I remember saying right before the NBA shut down, when they were talking about not having fans in arenas, he said, look, that's a drastic game changer. And he was talking about considering not playing. Now, I think that was more spur of the moment, that he didn't really think about it before he opened his mouth. But it's an interesting point. And the fact that he's adjusted to that, and the Lakers have too remarkably well, I think that's just another notch in his legacy, that he was able to set aside all of the stuff from the bubble, because the bubble is all encompassing, right? It's just you're playing basketball, that's all you're doing. And the fact that he's been able to thrive in this environment and help the team along and thriving in that environment as well, I think absolutely should be part of that legacy, Andrew, as you said.
Yeah, you just look at the Clippers. They're a team that are coming in here supposed to thrive, and they just, they end up getting upsetted for whatever reason. Maybe it had to do
with We don't talk about the Clippers.
Yeah, but hey, they were supposed to be, that would have been a crazy conference finals. We didn't get it because I think it was a lack of focus on their minds. Look, when you're up big, obviously, it's like you're in the bubble. You're like, okay, we finally got this. And it's like, nope. Again, I could definitely, not having home games, I think, hurt the Clippers as well, playing on an equal footing, really. So again, LeBron being able to have that focus, the Lakers, he's basically willing the Lakers to have that focus. Obviously, he's the main driving force on their team. And it just shows, again, he's definitely, to me, he's the best player in the world right now. I think he kind of took that back And again, when he does on the court, it just shows like whenever he steps on the court, it's like almost unbeatable right now. That's really what he is.
It's the longevity of it too.
Yeah.
Because you just brought it up about how if you would have told me 5 years ago that LeBron would still be the best player in the world,
yeah,
I don't know. It would have been a tough sell because he was not young then. He was 30, 31 years old. Now he's 35, going on 36.
Mm-hmm.
And here he is still incredibly athletic, still so skilled, still leading his team to great heights. And the funny thing about the bubble that you mentioned is that, you know, every game's neutral site, obviously, but the team that theoretically would have been hurt the most by that is the Lakers because they're the number one seed. Yeah. So that they lose all those home playoff games. And yet here they are willing their way through it. Just so impressive. Also, I want to give a shout out while we're on the subject of LeBron. Let's also shout out Anthony Davis, who traded to the Lakers, is about to win his first championship. Andrew, I've been amazed by Anthony Davis as well. I mean, he is one of the few guys that we've seen in the playoffs. I don't know how you feel about this. He's been completely unguardable. Like there have been teams have tried so many different things against him. We specifically saw that against the Nuggets, but he has been almost impossible for any team to guard. And he has been as big of a reason as any as to why the Lakers are one game away from a championship.
I mean, he's probably one of the best Robins, I think, to ever play here in the NBA. He's playing outstanding. Yeah. I mean, in my mind, I mean, he's definitely outplayed LeBron in some games. I mean, I think there's a actual conversation who's going to win Finals MVP, him or Davis. I think they'll probably give it to LeBron just because that's kind of like a big storyline, getting LeBron another MVP. But look, I wouldn't be surprised how as good as Davis has played if they gave it to him. And I mean, he showed all that talent with the Pelicans, and we're like, man, if he ever had a really good team around him, he would go to new heights. And look where we are. He's in new heights. So, I mean, I'm happy for Anthony Davis, such a skilled player too. I mean, he does so many different things very, very well. And if you pair him with LeBron James and those two guys, again, they're going to be tough to beat, not only now, but probably for the next few years. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. And Anthony Davis will probably take over as another leader on that team.
Yeah.
Again, we're assuming LeBron James is going to go downhill at some point, which is a big if. Because by the laws of physics, he should. But it still hasn't happened yet.